Hi everyone, welcome back to Booney's Herps. This is Taryn speaking. Today I'm just looking to show you a new tool that I've got in development and sort of ready to go, a little bit work in progress. It's based on a tool I developed using an Excel spreadsheet that I think I put up on the page quite a while ago. That was a little bit clunky, so I tried to improve it, make it a bit more web-based. Just a little background of the tool. So a few years back, the BIAZA Reptile and Amphibian Working Group published a paper called the UV tool, which was a helpful guide full of information on UV lighting for reptiles and amphibians. And at the back, it had a massive catalogue of different species that you could check across, find out what the microbiomes are, whether they hibernate, all sorts of different information. But the key things was the Ferguson zones of those animals and also basking temperatures. It's a tool I love it. I think it's brilliant. It's really helped with my care improvements over the years. The only nitpicky nag I ever had with it was just always having to go to a PDF spreadsheet, try and find through the data, find the information I'm after, and run a ruler along to make sure I'm not reading off the wrong line. So from that, I developed this Excel spreadsheet tool that just allowed you to search for a species that's on that list, find out the information you needed. And then a couple of years later, which probably looking nearly 2 years ago, the FBH brought out their minimum recommended guidelines for enclosure sizes. And I was able to incorporate that into the tool as well. So depending on the species you've got, the group that the FBH classed them in, whether arboreal, terrestrial, anything like that, the size of the animal, you can determine what your minimum enclosure size is. But again, the tool that I developed was really clunky. It was on an Excel sheet. I had to save it to a Dropbox. People had to download it. Probably didn't get used because it was really awkward. Bit of a pain in the backside. So instead, I started working on putting together more of a web-based, app-based type tool. And that's what I'm going to show today. It is a work in progress. There's still a few kinks I've got to get out of it. But hopefully people will be able to use it quite easily. So in order to get it app-based, it costs a lot of money. So instead I've had to just use this link that you'll see on the screen right now through a website called AppSheet. If I can get it app-based, that would be really helpful. But I think that'll probably take a while. One of the key factors with this tool and with the app and when I created it was I went to BIAZA, the Reptile and Amphibian Working Group, to get permission to use all their information because it's owned by them. They've done all the hard work. I'm literally just putting it onto a spreadsheet. And they said it's absolutely fine as long as I don't profit from it, which is absolutely fair. I don't want to profit from this at all. It's a free tool. But obviously, without any money, it makes it harder to publish anything that people can use. So, yeah, this is a free sheet, a free web link. It'll be on my page, so you'll be able to get to it from there or save it off. Hopefully, it'll be helpful to everybody. So, how to use it? Very simple. So, click the link and open it up. If you're on your phone, it'll open up almost like an app. It's quite intuitive that way. On a laptop or desktop, it'll open up in a similar format, but just on a bigger screen. So the first place we want to go to in this bottom corner, we've got Herp Info Tool. That's a working name. That might change. But when you come to the first screen, you come across a list of different categories. Now these categories and the subcategories that are within them are generated by the FBH guidelines. That's the easiest way to categorize things in. So you'll see we've got amphibians, Sicilians, Chelonia, other, Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll pretend we are looking for, let's say, a bearded dragon, nice and common, nice and easy, everyone wants to have a look. So looking for a bearded dragon, we want to go into lizard. Again, more subcategories. You'll see this one here, not reported by FBH. That's because there's species in the UV tool that are not on the FBH guidelines. So I've just had to categorize them like that for now. Perhaps in time, if I get in touch with the FBH, maybe we can find where they fit, but everyone's busy. That's probably not going to happen for a while, so we'll just have to stick with it as it is for now. There is a search tool, so if you can't find what you're after, have a search. Hopefully it's there. I'll get on to what to do if it's not. So for bearded dragon, we're looking at agama. And then you'll see we've got a full list of different agama on here. You'll notice none of them have pictures. I didn't feel like stealing pictures off the internet. I'd quite like to use pictures that people have taken and given me permission to use. So if you have any of these species, then absolutely, please feel free to send them to the email listed. You'll see it in the image there. And I'll get them added. Thank you very much. So scrolling through the list, we're going to come across the bearded dragon, Pagona viticeps. So I'll just click on that, and there's our first sheet, or our first bit of information. So hopefully we'll eventually have an image. Common name, just not all of them, it'd just be the odd common name, whatever's most commonly used, probably in the UK rather than anywhere else in the world. Taxa, that taxa's, again, that comes from the FBH guidelines. First set of information here is, apologies, biome. So that's just the kind of environment they're living in the wild. Tropical, subtropical grasslands, savannas and shrublands, all the way to deserts, and I can never pronounce this, but xeric shrublands. You'll need to do a bit of research into them. I can't tell you exactly what each one means. These were based off some WWF, World Wildlife Fund guides, which I believe have been superseded by some other format, but the UV tool still uses them. They're still perfectly valid. So have a Google and it'll help you with your enclosure design in future. Then got Ferguson zone. So bearded dragon is a zone 3 or 4 species. Gives us little information using sunbeam method to try and set up the enclosure, UV ranges that we're looking at. So we'll need to remember that in the next stage when we go through the tool. So zones 3 and 4. We've got photo period. So we've got summer, winter, so daylight hours. Bearded dragons will brumate, so cooling down over winter as well. Basking surface temperatures. If you slide your finger to the right or left, it flicks to the next species, so just watch that. Basking temperatures, ambient temperatures, both summer and winter. Microhabitat, so obviously bearded dragons can live in foliage and shrubs, they'll be out in the grasslands, they'll be semi-arboreal, doing all sorts of things. That helps with setting up your enclosure in a more natural manner. We then come on to what's predominantly FBH data. So the bearded dragon comes under group number 1. Again, messing that up. These length ratios are a multiplication ratio. So what you want to do is you take the snout to vent length of your lizard, or total length of your snake, times it by the figure there, and that'll give you the size of enclosure you need. So 25 centimetre bearded dragon, snout to vent length, 6 times the snout to vent length of the length, gives us 150 centimetres by 75 by 75, or roughly, let's call that 5 by 2.5 by 2.5 feet. So from that information, we know what UV we need, what UVI zone we need. We know the temperatures we're going to be using, and we know what kind of enclosure we need. Now, if you want a bit more information on setting up the enclosure to look like it's wild habitat, I've got a link to the iNaturalist page for anyone that's not seen these before. It's where people go out into the wild, take pictures of animals, and everyone registers them on this website. And we can see lots of wild animals there. We get a good look at what their environment's like, where they're found. It's a really handy tool. I use this all the time when I'm setting up enclosures. It's I don't think I've come across a species yet that's not been photographed, which is really good. And I'd highly recommend joining it. So if you go on holiday, you see in a knoll in a bush, get a picture of it, put it up. I do it every time I'm away. It's really good fun and makes your herping experience a bit more interactive as well. So we know what size we're going for, we know what Ferguson zone we need, we know what temperatures we need. We've got an idea of what it looks like in the wild. So the next thing is this bit, which I've called the UV tool. Again, it's all a work in progress. I'm probably going to change some names around soon. So what this does is the Reptile lighting group on Facebook, which I'm sure many people will be aware of by now. They've done lots of research into how much UVI is lost based on the width of mesh, how many holes and things like that that a mesh roof has, so we can get a better understanding of which lamps will give us set UVIs at certain distances. And you can see all these meshes on here. It's absolutely loads. This is completely, it's pretty much true citizen science. This is people measuring, giving information, and it's all collated together. Again, I've utilised this from that source. It's referenced on the tool, so I'm not trying to steal information. It's all out there in public domain. Hopefully this just brings it to an easy place for everyone to get into. So let's imagine in our enclosure we've got our bearded dragon. Let's just double check something. So our bearded dragon is in his enclosure. It is 75 centimetres tall. We're going to put our basking spot about 40 centimetres up, give him a bit of height to climb up. That gives us 35 centimetres or from roof to basking zone. Account for the UV tube. Let's call that a 30 centimetre distance between basking spot and the UV. So what we're going to do is, we've not got any mesh, so we've got a handy no mesh bit there. Because there's not going to be anything, it's inside the enclosure, so we'll hit no mesh. We know we wanted a Ferguson zone, so this is all Ferguson zones of 3 and 4. So we can either hit the 3, we can hit the 4, or 3 and 4. And we're looking right about 30 centimetres from the basking lamp. We know we can now use an Arcadia Pro T5 12% in a Pro T5 fixture, or use the Zoom Med hood with a 10.0 Zoom Med tube. This isn't a definitive list of UV lighting. There's many other brands out there, some better than others. Arcadia and Zoom Med probably up there with the top of them, so that's what people have got. I believe there's more information on the Reptile system tubes now, so in time I'll try and get all that on there at some point, but for now this is what we've got. And then that'll just tell you the UVI you're getting at that point. Now you could look at this and go 7 might be a little high for a bearded dragon. I'm not an expert on bearded dragons, I don't know, so maybe we just need to reduce that down, make the Zoom Ed's a bit better. Zoom Ed gives us a much lower figure. So you just got to play around, figure out what you need and what works for you within your enclosure. Again, this is a work in progress. If you feel there's a better way of doing this, please let me know, and I'll see if I can rearrange everything so that you're looking for different things first. Same with the Herp tool. If you're missing anything, I do have a format to go through. So if you come across a species that's not on the tool, go to the suggestions box, throw in a Latin name or scientific name, common name, the taxa you believe it comes under. If you can get an iNaturalist link, that'll really help me out. And any further notes. So if you do feel there's some information you can give me to improve the tool, throw it in there. Hit save, and I'll be able to find that later on when I get back to my tool. If you go to the About Us, a little bit of information on there just to explain how to use the tool. You shouldn't be able to log in yet. I don't think you can make accounts. It wouldn't really benefit you anyway, so don't worry too much about that. But that's my tool in a nutshell. Any questions, just throw them into the comments, and I will do my best to get back to you ASAP. Please do share this and subscribe to my channel. Hopefully I'll get a bit more content out there in time. Yeah, let me know what you think. Have a nice day.